Hello, lovely folks of YouTube, Ren here. It's time for another Sabbat tea. That's right, the Sabbat we have coming up is Beltane. This is one of the most popular Sabbats, mostly because of the associations that a lot of people make with Beltane. It is, at its heart, a fertility festival. For a lot of people, of course, fertility means sex, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with sex, but there's a lot of things that fall into that category. For us, in our tradition, this is the Sabbat that marks the beginning of the time when we study love as one of the paths of power, one of the motivators behind our magic. And so in that spirit, I wanted to make a tea that was an embodiment of love. Now, that being said, you can use this in spell work. Very popular, the love spell work. This tea can be used to empower your spell work for finding that perfect love for yourself, which may be a sexual love and may not. Whatever's perfect for you, that's the key. So, let's get started here. First thing I wanted to show you, this tea is a little different. I keep calling it a tea, but it's actually an herbal infusion. There's no actual tea in this. The base that we're using is honeybush, which is Cyclopea intermedia. This is in the same family as rooibos, so it's oftentimes considered to be a red tea. It is caffeine free, so this will be a caffeine free blend, which is nice for those of us who have to avoid caffeine for any reason. And I did actually brew some already, and I wanted to show you. This is the finished color of the tea. Isn't that gorgeous? This is a tea that you can make either, I've had it both hot and iced now, and it's delicious both ways. I do feel like it needs a little bit of sweetener, and adding honey to this will also empower those intentions of drawing something good to you, so feel free to sweeten this. So, let's get started. Oh, I left my spoons over here. Reaching across, pardon me. There we go. So, we're going to get started here. I'm going to start with my honeybush, which is my base. Honeybush is delicious, by the way. Even by itself, it's really, really good. In blends, it's just a good tea substitute. So, we're going to do 4 parts of honeybush. And you may notice that for my parts, I am using tablespoons this time because I do want to make a large quantity of this. I am bringing this to my Grove's Beltane Sabbat. It's the first time we've all gotten together in over a year. We're all vaccinated now, so we can do that. So, 4 parts honeybush. Now, all the other things that we're using in our tea, appropriately, are flowers. So, let's start with our next one. This is rosebuds. These are from my garden. Last year's roses, because usually they don't bloom until just after Beltane. Sometime between Beltane and Litha is when I usually get them. But we're going to do 1 part of rosebuds, or rose petals, if that's what you have. And this is, let's take 1 more out. There we go. Now, these are in slightly larger pieces for the most part. There's some petals, loose petals in there. But anything that's a bud here, I'm actually just going to kind of break it with my finger into its component petals, just so that it will mix a little more evenly into my blend here. Oh, get back here. There we go. So there's our roses, 1 part. Now roses, of course, are basically like the #1 flower that people always think of for love. I have a whole video on roses that I made last year if you want to check it out. But I always see roses as not just being a flower for love, but also for self-love and sort of self-discovery and opening yourself to the divine. So let's see, that's our next one. Here it is, hibiscus. Hibiscus, of course, is also a very famous plant for love. It's in that mallow or Malvaceae family. So it has a very soothing quality. Now this is the hibiscus. It's very widely known, particularly in areas around the Caribbean, Mexico, as either Jamaica or Florida Jamaica. And it is a hibiscus. It's also sometimes called sorrel in some places, I believe. But yes, it actually has a nice sort of sourness to it, almost like a cranberry sort of flavor, which is really good. Very good in teas. So I'm just kind of, again, just taking these larger pieces and kind of breaking them up smaller so that it'll mix a little more evenly, because we don't want to get like one spoonful that's just all hibiscus and nothing else. So there we go. But being just kind of, not being super exact with it. All right, so there's 2 of our flowers. That rose petal back in there. Number 3, lavender. So lavender is also a love herb, but this is more, has a more calming nature, kind of cools things down a little bit more. This is more for sort of like finding that perfect match intellectually. So 1 part of lavender. Did I mention we did 1 part of hibiscus? You probably noticed, but just in case, I don't remember if I mentioned it. I worked a lot this week, so. But yes, so there's our 1 part of lavender, and then of course our last one is chamomile. Chamomile is also a calming, sort of relaxing herb. Chamomile is actually good for releasing negativity as well, and sort of helps to, I know that there's it can be used in a bath, like you can make a bath with chamomile to help you, make you attractive. So it's good for attraction. There we go. That is it. So we're just going to mix this by hand. Just kind of roughly. It does make some larger pieces, so you have to be kind of careful that you don't get just all flowers and no honey bush when you're scooping this. But look at that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. It has this wonderful, very floral but slightly sweet and spicy smell to it. And that little hint of spiciness underneath it. Some of that's from the lavender and some of that's from the honey bush, but it's delicious. It's delicious. I've had it, like I said, both hot and iced. Either way, makes a great tea. I'm planning on serving it to the rest of my my grove iced, just because it is going to be May, and May is typically pretty warm here in Virginia. So, but yeah. I hope you enjoy this blend. Definitely give it a try. And of course, if you don't have any of these flowers, they're all usually pretty easy to find. But if for some reason you can't seem to get like your hand on some good quality roses, you can also substitute other flowers. Just the only limit is your imagination. So that's all I have for you today. I hope this video finds you well, and I will see you again soon.